Okay, I think what is interesting in the recuperation process, or the process of commodification, is the fact that we get rid of capital at a micro, I specifically say micro and only micro level. I think, therefore, that the question is how to generalize this experience in order to get rid of capitalism. And I would like to ask you a question. Why are we thinking recuperation or commodification in the defensive mode when unemployment is at stake or when public services are jeopardized? Why should not we reverse the problem by advocating that commodification, recuperation, and for me you have understood this is the same thing as an output of class struggle? In terms of management of capitalistic companies, there is a direct connection between wage and dividends. What is not given in wage could be distributed as dividends, and if you distribute dividends, obviously you reduce the possibility for wages, and this transfer doesn't change the management of a company itself from an investment point and accumulation point of view. By increasing wage, we directly decrease the dividends, and therefore, what is important, the valuation of the companies itself. I think we are no longer in a post-war economic boom, which means that if there is an increase of the wage, we will not see property class invest anymore, and I think we can fear a real strike of investment from shareholders. And this is what I would like to address. And at some point you can say that this already happens. When you see, for example, big companies in the motor industry making wages blackmail in Spain or in France against investment. This is something which already happened. This is what I would like to say on this point. Therefore, I think the key question is what will happen if a progressive government comes on affair? Obviously, part of this progressive government policy will be to increase wages, whether socialized or individuals, in the value added of a company. And I think that if it only will do this, this policy will fail. I think that if employees, workers doesn't have some rights in order to expropriate shareholders, build comments, I think this will be a deadlock. To be very clear, I would say that social transformation will never be the fact of a government, even if the government is very red. I think this is something we know from the past. This will be, social transformation will be made by the movement of the working class, by the movement of the people anyway. But a progressive government has to pass bills on parliament, on legal issues, which will enable workers to have new rights, to expropriate shareholders in case we need to do so. And this is why I would like to make here 3 proposals that I have already developed in my book. There is only 2 samples here on the table, and unfortunately this is only in French, so far I really apologize. So 3 proposals that I would like to introduce here. The first one is a right for workers, for any company, to propose counter plans on investment in case they face a kind of strike of investment from shareholders. And if the management does not accept, a right for the workers to be able to expropriate this company. Fortunately, if we are talking about expropriation, maybe they are asking for compensation, something like this. Obviously, the key question is that valuation will be driven down by the social policy, which is a very, very good news when we will have to come into this type of discussion. In the same idea, in case of a bankruptcy, I really think that working, and this is still important now, but workers should have a right to preempt the company before any commercial court take any decision. Second, we are talking about counterplan of investment. I think this means that we need to have funds. This is really what we need. So a progressive government, I think, should set up some labor funds through taxes on value added, through employers' contribution on wages, to initiate such a fund, which will be able to offer banks, which will be socialized in this process, lines of credit in order to finance the plans of workers and to finance the recuperation of companies. Third point, I really think that we need to decommodify our society. This has been outlined at the beginning of our seminar, and specifically on the side of evaluation of the working force. Very often, we see some companies, very often poor, small, which says, okay, how can I face an increase of wages? How can I face new social standards where I have already very hard time to pay my workers? Thing is that in many cases, this is true. And at this time, we do not have answers about this. So my proposal is to say that we need to transfer wealth between rich companies to poor companies by equalizing part of the value added on the base of the number of employees in a company. That means that for any people in a company, the company will receive a certain amount of money, which will be fueled by an extraction and a percentage on the value added produced by each company. Therefore, you will have transfer of wealth between rich to poor company in order to ensure proper liquidity to give good wage to every people. Obviously, you will have a company which will lose with this system, others which will win, obviously. But the good thing is, I think that this will help to raise the question of social appropriation in rich companies and even in big groups, and I think this is something which should be on the agenda. So I would like, therefore, to conclude. I really think that the way we look at the process of recuperation of company is crucial in the near future of our politics. If we consider that state socialism led by etatization was a deadlock in the past, I think we need to raise major interest in this movement of commodification, of recuperation. So the question is, are they just sympathetic experience that we need to follow, that we need to support? Or do we consider that this starts to design a perspective for our future society? And obviously, you understand what is my stance of this. And I really think that we should see this experience now as an output of a class struggle, and we need to have an offensive position in order to help their generalization. Thanks.